Welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting. Today we're doing a little something different, a new video. I don't know, this may end up being a series, we'll see. I'm calling this JP's Top 10, because who doesn't like a ranking of stuff? So basically I was inspired to do this because of some recent additions to my collection, namely this book, this book, this book, that book. Thanks to me and a bunch of assists from my friends that I've been able to track those books down. I've gotten most of the first appearances of most of my favorite Marvel ladies. They're now part of my collection. You guys know I've focused on, as I collect, I focus on Batman stuff, Spider-Man stuff, female first appearances in comics, and Star Wars. So these female first, I've done a really good job on the Marvel side of getting a bunch of these first appearances. So I decided I'm going to rank my top 10 Marvel female characters. I would love to hear your rankings if you decide to do one later. Let me know if you like this idea, and maybe I'll do more of these of different groups and that kind of stuff. But this is going to be my top 10 Marvel female characters. Leave your list below, like I said. Reminder, I'm not saying these are the best. I'm not saying anything like that, most powerful, nothing like that. These are just my favorite ladies in the universe of Marvel. So, without further ado, let's get into my top 10. Number 10, Jessica Drew. So this is probably the toughest decision. I could have went several ways here. I just really enjoy this character, everything I've ever read with her. A lot of the stuff where she interacts with Carol, and I just love those stories. I feel like she's a character that's been mostly underutilized and has a ton of potential. And while I could have went a bunch of different ways here, ultimately I had to go with the original Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew. Number 9, Emma Frost. You guys know I love Emma. Just everything about her. She's just one badass lady. And yeah, fashion icon. Evil, good, doesn't matter. Emma Frost is always a great character and a character that I have always loved and enjoyed since the beginning. Number 8, Mary Jane Watson. Now, this is a character that's probably been pretty underutilized. She hasn't always been treated the best. Definitely my love for this character has as much to do with my love for Spider-Man as it does for her. But just, I feel like they've treated her better here in recent years. She's another character with a lot of potential, no superpowers, just an important person, and just a really great character for me. Number 7, Black Cat, Felicia Hardy. Oh, while she is definitely second of the cat burglars for me, just a character I love. I feel like she has broken away from, being a Selena clone. So much personality, so much fun, and attitude. Just a really great character that brings a lot to every Spider-Man story she's in, or any story that she's in that's her own. Just a big fan of Black Cat. Number 6, Storm. Hard to believe she doesn't make my top 5. This was really tough to leave her out. I've always loved Storm. Going back, the first X-Men comic I remember reading was her battle with Callisto, when she basically had no powers and still won and took charge. She's always just been such a great character. I know my friend John is yelling at me right now because she's not higher, but she fell here at 6. Doesn't mean I don't love Storm. She's just a really terrific character that has been in so many great stories. Number 5, Gwen Stacy. So I didn't care about Gwen at all prior to her reintroduction as Ghost Spider from another universe. I have just really enjoyed this version of the character. Just fantastic. My only failing is they've been bringing her into the 616 instead of leaving her in her own universe and exploring that world. I hope they do more of that going forward, as I just really love Gwen and that version of the universe. Number 4, Kitty Pryde. Kitty has always been one of my favorite characters. I guess she goes by Kate now, which was time. Kitty is kind of like Spider-Man and Nightwing for me. I sort of feel like I grew up with her a little bit. She grew up as I did. Started out reading the stuff when she was a kid and all the things she went through. Just been one of my favorite. For a long time, my favorite X-Men related character, but she has been bumped down this list surprisingly, but I still love Kitty Pryde. Now, before I get into my top 3, I wanted to put in a few honorable mentions. You knew I had to. I could have made this list 25, but I'm keeping it to 10. But I'm going to squeeze in a few honorable mentions just because these are some of my favorite female characters. First up on my honorable mentions is Gabby the Honey Badger. If you've never read Tom Taylor's All New Wolverine, you need to. Gabby is such a breath of fresh air. I just love this new character. She is so good. Next, we have Natasha Romanoff. Never really cared much about the Black Widow, but this recent Black Widow run has jumped her way up in my standings on Marvel female characters. I just love this run, and she's such a good character. Next, after that, is Jean Grey. Jean is awesome, and another character that I always was disappointed in, but the X-Men Red run really changed my opinion and moved her up my list. And finally, we have Janet Van Dyne. Strangely enough, it was a cartoon that made me love Janet. If you've never watched Marvel's Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon, watch it. It's great, and she's the best character in it. Now for my top 3. First up, we got Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. Always loved Carol. I even loved her back when she was Miss Marvel. And then when they made the transition, Kelly Sue DeConnick's run, turning her into Captain Marvel, it's one of the things I read back when I wasn't reading comics. I read it digitally. I love that run. I just think Carol's a great character. She's got attitude. She's strong. And I just really have enjoyed her character and her development over the years, moving from Miss Marvel into Captain Marvel. And her friendship with Jessica Drew, which really probably puts Jessica on this list, is one of the best, in my opinion. Number 2, Laura Kinney, X-23, and now Wolverine. If you've never read the Tom Taylor All New Wolverine run, it just made this character for me. I just fell in love with Laura reading that when I first got back into comics. For a long time, I kept putting Kitty and Storm ahead of her as favorite female X-Men, but having just recently reread that, she's just such a good character. I just adore the way he writes her, and I adore the way that she's been used in recent years. I love the way she stepped up. She's Wolverine, but better in my opinion. Sorry for the Wolverine fans. And finally, at number 1, we have Jane Foster. I would have never thought this, even when I started making this list, that she was going to come out as the top. But the Jason Aaron Thor run changed so much for me. I never cared about Thor. I never cared about Jane. Didn't really even know who she was, hardly. But that run was so good. And now in the transition to Valkyrie, it continues to be fantastic. I know maybe the most recent stuff hasn't been quite as good, but I just adore Jane as a character. I adore her approach to being a hero. Everything about that run is great. I can't wait for the movie. So that's my list. Came out a little differently than I expected, and definitely way differently than it would have had I done this like 5 years ago before I started collecting again. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you'd like to see more of these. And yeah, we'll catch you next time.